Hey everyone, I hope you enjoy your Easter break. So, we are going to go ahead and move on to Unit 7, Day 12, and we are going to review Unit 7 and finish out Unit 7 with our unit test on Wednesday. So, today we're going to go over four problems that will give us an overview of this unit. So, let's go ahead and start off with question number one. If f of x equals that and g of x equals that, what is f of x minus g of x? So what I'm going to do instead of f of x, I'm going to plug in my function, okay? And I typically put parentheses anytime I'm going to plug something in. So parentheses 2x squared minus 3x plus 2. And then my g of x is 2x squared minus 3x minus 2. And of course, you can bring down the minus because they're asking me to subtract these two trinomials, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this negative, which is the same thing as a negative 1. And anytime you're multiplying anything with a negative 1, it just does the opposite of the sign. So for example, negative 1 times 2x squared becomes negative 2x squared. And then the next thing will be positive 3x, positive 2. And then of course, you can bring down the first half of the problem and you can leave off the parentheses because we don't need them anymore. And now I can combine my like terms. 2x squared minus 2x squared is just 0x squared, so they go away, okay? And then negative 3x plus 3x is 0x, so that goes away. And then 2 plus 2 is just 4. So my final answer for this one is D, 4. Does that typically happen? No. Typically, you will end up with a trinomial or even a binomial. But for this situation, we did just end up with a simple number, okay? Number two, Emma and Kyle combine their earnings to pay their bills. Emma's earnings can be modeled by that equation, E of x, and Kyle's earnings can be modeled by the equation K of x, where x is the number of hours worked in a week. Which function models their combined earnings C of x if they each work the same number of hours in a week? So basically, they're asking me to combine these two equations, which basically means to add, because let's say, for example, let's say Noah has $20 and I have $5. That would tell me that combined we have $25. Okay, so it's basically the same idea. The only difference is that we're dealing with two linear functions or linear equations. Okay, so let's start off by adding these two, and I'm just going to set them up as a simple addition problem. So I'm just going to stack each equation on top of the other, and I'm going to add. Okay, so now let's add $22.75 x plus 17.85 x. And if you use your calculator or you can use Desmos, you will end up with 40.6x. Okay, and then 74 plus 127 gives me 201. And clearly that will be answer choice B. Okay. Now remember, some keywords for adding will be addition, combined. Some words for subtraction might be differences. Okay. I think those are the most common ones you're going to come across. But of course, if you don't know if they're asking you to add or subtract or even multiply, you're welcome to just contact me and I'll let you know. Okay. Now let's move on to question number 3. Let's see. Steve threw a ball into the air. The height of the ball t seconds after it was thrown into the air is modeled by the function h of t. How long does it take the ball to hit the ground? So, okay, let's say I have this graph. I have my ball and I throw it or whatever. Steve throws it. It goes up to the air and then eventually it will return back to the ground, okay? This right here is just your ground, okay? We'll call that the ground. okay, because this is a visual. Now, clearly, all the way up here is your vertex, which is the height, the maximum height, and how long it takes for this ball to hit the maximum height. And then, of course, this is your roots. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Desmos. I'm going to type in that equation into Desmos. And remember, you cannot use x. So I'm just going to use t. So negative 16, or sorry, you can use t. You cannot use t. So I'm going to use x instead. So negative 16x squared plus 40x plus 144. Okay, let me double check that I have the correct equation. We're good to go. Now I might have to zoom out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my vertex, even though I'm not going to need it for this problem because they're asking me for two different things. Okay, so my vertex is 1.25 and 169. And then let's go ahead and get the roots, which is what I'm looking for. So my positive root is 4.5. Okay? And the reason I got the vertex as well is so I can explain what this picture is showing us. So basically, the football is being thrown. Remember that the y-axis represents your height, and then the x-axis is the seconds. Okay? And this is the height. So if your ball's going up and it reaches the maximum or the vertex, we know that at 1.25 seconds, it's going to reach a height of 169 feet. I think that's what, yeah, feet. Okay. And if the ball keeps going down and when it hits the ground, it's going to hit the ground at 4.5 seconds. So they were asking me, how long does it take for the ball to hit the ground? In other words, what is the root? Or what is the solution or the x-intercept? It will be 4.5 seconds. That's how long it takes for this football to go back down to the ground after it's been thrown, okay? And number 4, let f of x equals x squared and g of x equal that trinomial. What is the difference of the two functions? And they even went ahead and said f of x minus g of x. So we are subtracting. So we have f of x minus g of x. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. So f of x is just x squared. And remember, I like to put parentheses, okay? Minus g of x. And g of x is 2x squared minus 3x plus 2. And now I can get rid of the minus by making it a minus 1 and then doing the distributive property. So negative 1 times 2x squared is negative 2x squared plus 3x minus 2. And now I'm going to bring down my x squared and I can combine my like terms. So x squared minus 2x squared is just negative 1x squared. And then the rest of the problem, there's nothing I can combine it with, so I'm just going to copy it down, plus 3x minus 2. So clearly, my answer is B. Okay? So if you have any questions whatsoever on the SchoolNet assignment, shoot me a text, email me, or send me a message through the Remind app, okay?